Hey guys, this is Typhorce Reacts, and I'm here to finally start my review of Fairy Tail. And yeah, let me just get started with the introduction, I guess. Fairy Tail's received a lot of flack over the years from both friend and foe alike, of mine at least. I know that literally my best friend Zach, he's like he's not too fond of Fairy Tail, but he can give it praise when he feels it's deserving. And but at the end of the day, he says that he's not really that big of a fan of Fairy Tail, or at least doesn't really enjoy it in the same way like I do, at least. So yeah, but Fairy Tail has held like a special place in my heart for so many years now. I don't know when I got into it, but I know that it was one of the first anime I ever watched. Was I don't know like in like what order. I know that it kind of got me into like shonen anime, at least. Well, at least it started my my journey on being a fan of shonen anime. So even though it's not typical Shonen Jump anime, it's something else. It still belongs to a shonen manga. So yeah, even if it's not the Shonen Jump, but yeah, yeah, but yeah, so basically, Fairy Tail, yeah. I'm already screwing this up for myself. Like, I'll get to the point. I love Fairy Tail, and I will never stop loving Fairy Tail. And I do legitimately think it's a good anime that gets crapped on way too much simply by being what it is. And I still hold firm to my belief that if you truly hate Fairy Tail, then you just hate having fun. And I think even Nuxtaku at one point said that Fairy Tail is like the perfect anime for mindless fun. I guess if you kind of throw logic out the window for a second, like you just watch it for what it is, you'll have a ton of fun. But yeah, at the same time, that's not really a good argument. Even in context, a lot of the time, it's still a lot of fun, but still, yeah. But yeah, this is going to be part one of my review of Fairy Tail, and this will be covering the pretty much all the way from the introduction of episode 1 to episode 124, which is the end of the Tenro Island arc and the beginning of the 7-year time skip. So yeah. Well, let's just jump right into this and like I told you guys my plan yesterday, and that was that my full review of Fairy Tail is coming out today, but in 3 parts. Like the first part being introduction to the Tenro Island, and then the Key of the Starry Sky arc all the way to Tartaros, and then the third part's gonna be 0 to the end. So yeah, and then on Sunday, like, I'm gonna compile all of these videos into one, and yeah, release it then, and who knows how long that's gonna be. So yeah, let's just get right into this, and we'll start with episode 1. I'm not going to go through these one episode at a time, but episode 1 just needs to be talked about, and it's kind of like a good introduction to what this show is going to be about, magic, and even like you're gonna get some Tolkien stuff, but not really, because I remember like seeing Netflix's description of the show being it was partially inspired by Tolkien, and I'm just like, no, it's not. It's really not. But yeah, I guess in terms of how many dragons there are, I guess, because yeah, in the first episode we meet Lucy Heartfilia, who's a celestial spirit mage, and she's basically she's the main girl of the show, and a lot of people will call her the main character, even though I still hold firm to Nux's belief of the whole like Natsu's not the main character, Lucy's not the main character, but the whole guild is the main protagonist of Fairy Tail. And yeah, so along the journey, she runs into Natsu Dragneel, and his cat buddy Happy. So yeah, then they basically, through a series of shenanigans, they team up briefly, and then Natsu takes Lucy to Fairy Tail, like a wizard guild that's basically like, it's the most famous or infamous, whatever way you look at it. And Lucy's been wanting to go there to, join the Wizard Guild after certain circumstances that we won't get into right now. But yeah, then the second episode is perfect for like just introducing us to who's in the Fairy Tail Guild. Just a quick synopsis of who each of these side characters are. They're kind of like, they're gonna be important later. So yeah, and just kind of perfect, like, yep, here's how these people are, here's how the guild works, and it hardly functions, but it's a dysfunctional family, and we all love it. So yeah, then remaining like 3 episodes are basically just, shenanigans of Natsu and Lucy going on like two different quests. One to rescue Makao from a Yeti monster thing. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, then the next one was helping someone find and destroy a book, I guess. So yeah, then in episode 5 we start a new arc, and it introduces us to Best Girl, and you can quote me on that, Urza Scarlet. And she had a great entrance, and she requests that Natsu and his rival Grey Fullbuster, a ice mage who uses ice maker magic, which basically he can make anything with it. I haven't even fully explained each wizard and what they can do, but I'm not going to bother anymore. Because you can just watch the show for yourself, because I highly recommend the show if you haven't already been able to tell by that. So then then they go on a job to stop this dark guild from using this magic item called Lullaby, which can literally kill anyone who hears it. So the song that's played on it. So yeah, they run into a villain who looks a lot like Shikamaru, I'm not gonna lie, and he has similar powers, and I can officially say that now because I watched Naruto now. So yeah, but he's not the main villain. He's like a side villain who kind of gets a redemption arc, but after this arc we don't really see him play a major role in the story again after this arc. So yeah, it turns out Lullaby is a demon from the book of some black wizard called Zareth. He, like, the ultimate evil, supposedly. So yeah, but after Urza, Natsu, and Grey, deal with the demon, and then the arc pretty much ends. Except it doesn't. I guess, because there's always like 1 or 2 episodes before the next arc, and the next episode that's really good after that, besides a filler episode, is Natsu versus Urza, where basically we meet how we realize how the Magic Council works and who's on it, including this guy named Seagrain, who looks a lot like a guy named Jalal, one of Urza's old friends. So but after that whole issue's deal with, we go into the Galuna Island arc at episode 11, and it goes into Gray's backstory a little bit, and how he got the magic he used, and how he had his basically tutor / mother figure Ur teach him and his friend Leon, and Ur ended up sacrificing herself to trap another demon of the Book of Zareth named Deliora, and into a thing called Ice Shell, and yeah, Leon blames Grey for Ur's death, and Grey kind of blames himself. So now Leon is trying to melt the ice around Deliora, and yeah, and so he can defeat the monster himself, just to prove that he has surpassed Ur, that kind of thing. So yeah, I guess it ends up working, but at the same time, the ice literally drained away literally everything that was left of Delior, including his life force, and Natsu literally just blocks a punch, and the giant monster crumbles. So yeah, and that's pretty much the end of the Gloon Island arc. And then we go into episode 20, which is Natsu and the Dragon Egg, and basically giving a backstory on the guild in its earlier days, with Natsu and the others basically being toddlers. And we meet a girl named Lizana, and thing is, we haven't seen Lizana hanging around the guild, and yeah, and we learn later that it's because Lizana was presumed dead. So yeah, and then we get into one of the best arcs, Phantom Lord arc. Basically, Fairy Tail's rival, Phantom Lord, has been attacking them now for unknown reasons, and it finally went too far when they attacked Levy and her team, and Levy just so happens to be Lucy's basically girl best friend, and yeah, but even still, they attacked a member of their family. They're going to get payback, but it turns out, okay, yeah, then we're introduced to Phantom Lord's Guild and their master Josei and the Element 4, as well as Black Steel, Gagio Red Fox, who's the Iron Dragon Slayer, similar to how Natsu's the Fire Dragon Slayer. And yeah, one of the Element 4's name is Juvia Loxer. She becomes important later. So yeah, then but it's revealed after a few episodes that Phantom Lord's not after Fairy Tail for some kind of petty grudge. They're after them because Lucy's father, Jude Heartfilia, who turns out to be a really rich man, and Lucy's the heiress to his whole estate, wants her back home, and reveals, Lucy ran away from home, and because her father's kind of a cold bastard. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, then some more shenanigans happen. Element 4 are taken out in one way or another. Gray fights Juvia, but Juvia ends up falling in love with Gray. So and it's hilarious. Then I'm not nearly covering this as much as I should be, but at the same time, I'm trying to rush through this whole thing. So Natsu fights Gagil, and they learn that their dragon dads, basically, both disappeared on the exact same date, and they were just like, oh, this is certainly weird, and like. So yeah, that and then it's revealed later on, basically the same episode, that when Lucy goes back to her estate and just to spit in the face of her father and to visit her mother's grave, that it's revealed that her mom also died on the exact same year. So yeah, it very suspicious. Like when you look at the gravestone and start connecting the dots, and you realize, and you only look back and realize, how far ahead did Mashima plan this? Hiro Mashima being the guy who wrote Fairy Tail. But yeah, then we get to a few. I think we get. Oh yeah, then we get to what a lot of people describe as the best arc, which is weird, because it's only 2 to 3 episodes, and that's the Loki arc, where we learned that another member of the guild, Loki, has been acting really weird lately. He's usually like, a womanizer and stuff, but it turns out he's a celestial spirit who's been trapped in the real world for way too long because he inadvertently got his previous master killed. conveniently his previous master was a scumbag, and her name was also Karen. I'm not even gonna get into that. All the amount of jokes that can come from that. So yeah, but after an audience with the Celestial Spirit King, Lucy manages to save Loki and get his key and, add it to her, home key collection, because Celestial Spirit Mages, that's what they do. So, yeah. Then immediately after that, we get into the Tower of Heaven arc, which is based around Urza's past and how she was basically when she was younger, she was a child slave to a cult basically looking to revive Zareth, basically. And after, she befriends a fellow child slave named Jalal, and a way older man named Rob, and Rob used to be a member of Fairy Tail, or at least is a member of Fairy Tail, and was captured by this cult. Then Jalal got possessed basically by the supposed spirit of Zareth, but it turns out later that it was a woman named Ultir who did that. Then basically kicked Urza off the island, but gathered everyone else and basically told them that Urza abandoned them. And yeah, only one person really didn't buy it, and that was a guy named Simon who had his own crush on Urza and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, yeah, that doesn't sound like something Urza would do, but he kept his mouth shut. So, yeah, then cut back to the present, and basically lots of shenanigans happen. Juvia helps out because she hasn't actually joined the guild at this point, but she decided to help out. And lots of stuff happens. Urza fights Jalal, but ends up failing because Jalal plays the I'm guilty, I'm so guilty, forgive me card, and yeah, tricks Urza into doing that. And it turns out Seagrain, the guy I mentioned earlier, who at this point we believe that was Jalal's brother, twin brother at least, turns out they're the exact same person, just two different bodies sharing the same magic, and Seagrain just kind of shows up out of nowhere, combines again with Jalal, and enter their a more powerful state, I guess. Then Natsu comes along and, after absorbing a bunch of ether nano, which is basically magic in like crystal form, and he eats it and to try to gain more firepower, but that at first it ends up backfiring because because ether nano contains all sorts of magic, not just fire, and will seemingly poison Natsu. But instead he gains a power-up, because of course he does, and he enters what's called Dragon Force for the first time, and just kind of utterly beats the crap out of Jalal. Urza tries to sacrifice herself to save her friends, but Natsu manages to save her, and that basically ends the Tower of Heaven arc. Jalal's presumed dead, and all that. So yeah, then we come back, and we find out that Juvia's now joined the guild, and along with Gajiel, surprisingly, which surprised a lot of people, because he kind of came back unexpectedly, but we didn't really expect to see him again. But yeah, then Loxus, Dryer, another member of Fairy Tail, and happens to be the master, Makarov's grandson, comes in and basically tries to take over the guild. He's been kind of a jerk throughout the entire series up to this point, but it's now where he's starting to really get violent. So, yeah, and he basically declares a battle of Fairy Tail, basically, where he and his Thunder Legion, basically made up of Freed, Evergreen, and Bixlow, basically take on all of Fairy Tail, but at the same time, Freed's whole thing is enchantment magic, where he can, like, write little barriers of words around everywhere he wants, and they've been preparing for this. So, yeah, it's, so yeah, he basically most of Fairy Tail wipes themselves out because they're trapped in the barrier and can really only do anything because can't really do anything about it. because they're trapped by the barrier and its rules. So yeah. Then at some point it comes down to basically Mira Jane and Elfman watching Freed, take out Kana and Mira Jane and Elfman Strauss being brother and sister, and they also had a younger sister named Lizana. So that's fun. The one that's presumed dead. So when Freed starts to nearly kill Elfman, Mira Jane just loses it. It's revealed that because of what happened to her sister, she kind of cut herself off from her magic, I guess. I don't know, it's not really explained, but she kind of became pacifistic. But now Mira Jane's she loses it, and it's revealed that, while her little sister Lizana had animal takeover magic, her brother Elfman had beast takeover magic, she has demon takeover magic. Satan's soul, it's called. And she utterly destroys Freed, and it's amazing. So, yeah, then meanwhile, Mystigan. Oh, man, I forgot to talk about Mystigan. Oh, man, he's great. So, basically, Mystigan's been a mysterious character up until this point. He's just been with the hood and just all of these magical staffs and stuff on him. And, back in the Phantom Lord arc, it's revealed that Phantom Lord, Phantom Lord has its own, conglomerates, set up all around the kingdom. But it's revealed that while Fairy Tail was dealing with the main house, Mystigan was going all around and destroying the rest of Phantom Lord. So, as a member of Fairy Tail, they attacked his home. That's what he does. So, he's just kind of a badass, just, on and off screen. So, yeah, and then, he comes in to help, with Fairy Tail and battles Loxus by himself, but in the midst of this, his face mask is blasted off, and he's also got the same face as Jalal, and it's weird, and that's not revealed until later, but, then, I forgot to mention, the Dragon Slayers and the Master have been locked inside the Fairy Tail Guild by Freed's barrier because apparently no one above the age of 80 can leave this barrier. Why are the Dragon Slayers trapped in there then, huh? Once again, foreshadowing, how long did Mashima plan this? So, yeah, then... But once they get out of it, thanks to Levi, Urza and Natsu face off against Loxus, but Urza leaves because thanks to Loxus no longer having any hostages, he decides to take the whole town as hostage by activating something called the Thunder Palace, and anyone who shoots down one of these Thunder Lacrima gets a face full of lightning. So Urza decides to call upon 200 First Swords to take down a large majority of them, while the rest of Fairy Tail, who can still, use magic, I guess, after beating the crap out of each other, take out the rest. So, yeah, so Natsu and Gashiel then come in and face off against Loxus, and Loxus starts beating the crap out of them, but when Loxus is about to activate a spell called Fairy Law, which targets anyone the user sees it's its enemy, no one in the vicinity dies, because apparently in Loxus's heart, deep down, he never wanted to hurt anyone. He only wants what's best for the guild, and he does, at the end of the day, he can't see anyone in it as his enemy. But, Loxus starts going crazy again, and Natsu has to take him down, and they manage to do that. And as a result, Loxus is banished from Fairy Tail and, exiled, basically. And that's basically that's basically how the arc ends, and it's sad, I know, but at the same time it's great. So yeah, then got a few more filler episodes, I guess, to get through, and then some point Lucy's father comes back and reveals that he's trying to better himself because his whole estate was taken. Basically, he's now out of money and looking for a job, and basically he came and apologized to his daughter, gets the good old, fatherly redemption arc, I guess, though, he's still got to make up for a lot of things, but at the same time, he's at least trying. So kind of like Endeavor in a way, but Endeavor is like way worse than Jude ever was. So yeah, it's kind of at the end of the day, they're trying, but could they really be forgiven? So yeah. Then we go into the Irration Sais arc. Oh boy. For me, the Irration Sais arc is the arc where Fairy Tail was pushed the furthest, like the closest to the breaking point. So basically, the Irration Sais are part of a dark guild, and like that have been aligned. They're like the top. They're basically there's a whole alliance of dark guilds called the Barum Alliance, and Irration Sais is like number 3, like of the top 3. And the other ones being Tartaros at number 2 and Grimoire Heart at number 1. So yeah, then so the Magic Council decided to form an ultimate band of a guild's best players, and yeah, they managed to I don't really know what to say beyond that, but yeah, then. So yeah, Fairy Tail chooses Natsu, Gray, Lucy, Urza, and I guess to an extent Happy. So yeah, then we got Blue Pegasus, which includes they're the pretty boys basically, including the Mad Lad, the Chad, the God, Ichiya. I am not. He's the meme character. I hate him, but I love him all the same. I have a curse of contradiction. I'll get into that later. So he's great. Then another guild called Lamia Scale sends Leon. Remember him? He was a villain from the Galuna Island arc, but he's since reformed and joined Lamia Scale, and along with I believe her name is Sharia. I think that's her name. I actually can't remember her name. All I know is that I honestly don't know, but yeah, and a guy named Jura, who's apparently one of the 10 Wizard Saints, aka one of the strongest, like officially recognized wizards in all of the kingdom. So and he's assigned as the leader of the whole thing. And then there's the Kate Shelter Guild. They only send one, well technically 2 people, I guess. That's a little girl named Wendy Marvel, and her own cat friend named Carla, and Happy's immediately smitten, of course. And so Wendy turns out Wendy's what's known as the Sky Dragon Slayer. Basically, she can use wind magic and and all that, but she's not really a fighter. She's more of a support mage. She enhances strength and magic power and stuff like that to her friends and comrades. So yeah, that's how she's useful. So yeah, but then the fight with the Irration Sais starts, and they're basically brutally beaten down. All of them are, basically. And lots of shenanigans happen. Wendy's captured by Irration Sais, and it's revealed that Wendy, while growing up, before she ran into Kate Shelter, she met a guy. She met an older kid named Jalal, who helped her around until Jalal left her at the Kate Shelter Guild because he couldn't carry her around anymore. And it's revealed that the Irration Sais has the supposedly dead body of Jalal, and they want Wendy to heal him as a repayment for everything he had done for Wendy. And at the end of the day, Wendy couldn't refuse the offer, so that's what she did. So it turns out the Irration Sais are looking for uh, basically a giant mech named Nirvana, and which has a lot of magic power behind it, and apparently this magic power includes basically people who have like a moral alignment to basically, they basically swap moral alignments if they're close to the brink of, good and evil. Or I honestly can't remember. I haven't watched the Arashi Sensei arc in a while. I'm recalling it how I can recall it. Meanwhile, Lucy fights another one of the Arashi Sensei, some Sorano, I believe her name is, and no, her name is Angel actually, but her real name is Sorano, but she goes by Angel. So yeah, then turns out Angel's a celestial spirit mage who's also an a-hole, and so yeah, and it turns out she's the one who killed Karen way back then. So remember her from the Loki arc. So yeah, then yeah, but at the end of the day, Lucy manages to defeat Angel and gain a few more celestial spirit keys from her, which includes I believe Aries, the Gemini and Scorpio. So yeah, then and now the Nirvana is activated and they all go to fight, and Natsu fights a guy named Cobra, and who has a giant snake pet. and turns out Cobra's a dragon slayer. He's a poison dragon slayer, but he's a second generation. Basically, they weren't raised by dragons, but they were put in a dragon slayer lacrima was put into them. Technically, and I forgot to mention this, Loxus is also the same way. He's a second generation dragon slayer. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. So Natsu manages to beat Cobra, and then like the head of the Irrational Sensei, the Master of Brain, he's defeated. Then Jalal kind of joins the good guys, but turns out his memory is wiped. He has no idea what on earth is going on, basically. And so he and Ursa take on another member of Midnight, and they defeat him. And simply because one of Midnight's whole things is using illusion magic, and thing is, Urza's missing an eye and has it replaced with like a glass eye and she's basically immune to illusions through it. So yeah, then but once all the Irrational Seis are defeated, turns out there's one more thing. Brain has this body link magic or something like that once all the Irrational Seis are defeated, including himself, basically another consciousness awakens within him, and he becomes a guy named Zero. And Zero, he's received a lot of flack. He's basically evil for the sake of being evil. He's not really up there as, favorite villains of Fairy Tail and all that. So, yeah. But they managed to beat him, I should get into this further. So they managed to stop Nirvana. Jalal helps out Natsu once he regains some bits of his memory, and manages to help out Natsu by giving him this golden flame that's basically the sum of his own sins and magic. So something weird like that. So Natsu consumes the flame and basically enters Dragon Force again, and completely beats down Zero, and and so Nirvana's destroyed. And so yeah, then once everything's settled, the Magic Council comes in and asks for Jalal, because Jalal's kind of still a criminal at the end of the day, missing memories or not. And despite pretty much everyone's protest, Urza decides to let Jalal go with them, and Jalal willingly goes. So yeah, then but at the last moment, Jalal regains his memory, of course, and Urza cries, and it's sad. And, Jerza's a thing, and I don't really care about it. So, yeah, I've never really cared about Jalal and Urza as a ship. Like I'll just go, okay, that's a thing, and just kind of move on. So yeah, then in the very same episode, it's revealed that Wendy's guild isn't even real. So basically, every friend Wendy made throughout her entire life in the Cage Shielder Guild wasn't real. It was all an illusion conjured by the master of the guild, who had basically took pity on Wendy and, basically created a whole fake guild for her. But at the end of the day, that's when his life force ran out, and and so he disappears too. And it's all of this happened in the same episode, and it's freaking sad. And Urza becomes like Wendy's big sister figure basically, and so basically Wendy comes in and joins Fairy Tail, adding a third Dragon Slayer to the mix. It would be fourth if Floxus hadn't gotten kicked out. So the next episode after that, we are introduced to a new character, Gildarts. And turns out Gildarts is like Fairy Tail's strongest wizard, and he's usually out on like really long missions, like either like decade quests or century quests. So 10 years. He's gone for 10 years at a time. Well, not really. He's usually gone for like usually a few years at a time, but yeah, he usually gets a few. He usually always visits every few years or something like that, and then then it's revealed that in his journey, he fought a dragon. A black dragon, to be precise. And, and once he tells Natsu this, he kind of reveals that in his fight with the dragon, he got one of his arms lopped off, one of his legs lopped off, and gutted. So, yeah. He's like, Natsu, I don't know what kind of dragon Ignil is, but this dragon that I fought, he's a friend to no one. He'd kill you without a second thought. So, yeah. Then basically the next arc starts, and let me tell you, basically a lot of these arcs deserve a video all by themselves. Edelus needs its own video all by itself. Even if it's, it's 19 episodes long, basically, 20, I guess, but, 19 to 20 episodes long. So, yeah, basically, it turns out that, Mystigan's whole deal is that he's been going around trying to seal off these portals, I guess, these anima, whatever, to Edelus, which is basically an alternate world where there's no magic. Basically the complete opposite of Earthland, which is the world that we've been in this whole time. And the way they receive magic is through magic items, which are drawn in from portals to Earthland, and by taking people and converting them into magic crystals, basically. Then it's weird. So then I haven't watched Edelus in a while. I haven't watched a lot of these earlier arcs in a while. But then lots of shenanigans happen. They meet other versions of themselves, and it's weird. But yeah, I'm not even trying to explain Edelus because I haven't seen it in a while. And it's just way too complicated to get into. So yeah, basically at the end of the day, all magic is taken away from Edelus. Mystigan stays behind because it turns out he's the heir to the throne there, and he gets a sad farewell. And that's the last time we see Mystigan until the 100-year quest, but that's years later, so we're not gonna get into that. So yeah, then Lizana's alive. Turns out that when she when she supposedly died, she actually injured the portal to the anima portal, whatever, and went to Daedalus, and now she's back. It's one of the it's one of the mistakes I find. Like, you should have just kept Lizana dead. It's not like she does anything later on. Like, if you're gonna bring someone back to life, at least, you know, make sure they're useful. So yeah, then we enter the next arc, which is the Tenro Island arc, which is the last arc I'm gonna review for this video, and basically, yeah. You know what, give me a second, guys. Okay, yeah, sorry about that, guys. I just couldn't handle, like, when my doormate decided to enter the bathroom and play music. So, yeah, I was not gonna have that interrupt. So, anyway. And some of you guys might be asking, wait, what about the Daphne arc and a bunch of other fillers that happened in between Orasiances and Daedalus? I'm not discussing those because they're garbage. But yeah, anyway, so let's get into the Tenor Island arc. So basically, it's basically a test to see who gets to become basically an S-class wizard in Fairy Tail. Basically, you know, you can be one of the top wizards. The way to do so is like this amount of tests that you do at a specific place. And this year they've chosen Tenro Island, which is basically the resting place of their first master, Mavis Vermilion. And yeah, at least I think that's her name. I could be mixing that up with I could be mixing that up with Black Clover. But anyway, the first master, Mavis. So yeah. So the candidates get to choose their own get to choose their partners and all that. Natsu chooses Happy, Kana Alberona chooses Lucy, Juvia and Lizana work together, Elfman and Evergreen work together, Freed and Big Slow work together, and I believe Gashiel and Levy. I cannot forget them. So yeah. I think that's it. So, and the people who go onto the island to test them are Master Makarov himself, Guildarts, Urza, Mira Jane, and I believe that's it. Yeah. So yeah, then it's revealed that okay. Then as they're completing the trial, as they're going through the trial, Elfman and Evergreen fight Mira Jane, manage to win by catching her off guard. And it's adorable, because now Elfman and Evergreen is a ship. So then, Juvia and Lizana fight Urza, and that doesn't go well for them. They lose. Gajiel and Levy, managed to get lucky and go on a separate path to them. Got on the peaceful route that, they got lucky. So, well, lucky in terms of Levy, not lucky in terms of Gajiel, who really wanted to fight someone. And then Natsu and Happy face off against Guildarts. Yeah, it's where then they pretty much get absolutely wrecked. They managed to push Guildarts back a few feet, but, well, Natsu did. Happy did nothing but cheerlead from the sides. Well, not cheerlead, but more like, Natsu, you're gonna get demolished. No, I'm not. I'm gonna fight Guildarts. But Guildarts passes them, but Natsu didn't defeat him, so Natsu can't take that as a win. So Guildarts pretty much unleashes his full power, and Natsu admits defeat the first time he's ever done something like that. And so, but Guildarts tells him, good, there are those, he says, I admire any wizard who faces down against their enemy despite the odds. But those who are truly brave are the ones who know when to back down. And, so, yeah, but Natsu passes anyway, so he gets to go on. Basically, the only two who failed were... Oh man, I forgot. There were two other teams. Oh man, I completely forgot. Yeah, it was, Gray and Loki, and then, Wendy, and a guy named Mest, who we have never met before. Where the heck did he come from? But yeah, as they're doing the second part of the trial, I really need to take water bottles whenever I do these kinds of videos. I need to remember them. But yeah, then turns out Mest is actually a spy for the Magic Council with like memory magic or something. He can mess with people's memories. So yeah, he can then. But as this is going on, during the second part of the trial, this weird guy just shows up in the middle of it and is confronted by Evergreen and Elfman, and turns out he's got this weird thing where like black magic just randomly spouts out around him and kills everything that's around him, any living thing from plants to animals to humans. But yeah, when Natsu manages to save Elfman and Evergreen at the same time, but this weird guy starts tearing up at the sight of Natsu, but Natsu seems to not be able to hurt him, and the weird guy even laments that. You can't hurt me, and you still can't hurt me, and it's weird. So then we find out that Grimoire Heart, remember, they're the #1 main threat in the Barham Alliance. They're about to attack Tenro Island, and it's revealed that the person they're after is Zeref, the Black Wizard, who is the weird guy that Natsu, Elfman, and Evergreen ran into. So yeah, it's gotten quite serious. It turns out the master of Grimoire Heart is a guy named Hades, but he also goes by Precht. He was the second guild master of Fairy Tail, while Makarov was the third. It's a big yikes. So yeah, then Makarov's taken out by Precht or Hades. I'm gonna call him Hades because that's way more awesome. So yeah, then Natsu takes on this guy this guy who's a god slayer, apparently. They use black flames, Zonkuro, I think his name is, fire god slayer and all that. Natsu manages to beat him. Then let's see, Asuma goes in and takes down Mira Jane and Lizana. Then basically a lot of fights happen simultaneously. A girl named Meredy, or she'll also go by Melody later. I honestly don't know which. I honestly don't know which name to go by. But she fights Urza and Juvia. But yeah, she's apparently she sees Ultir, remember her, as a mother figure, and apparently Gray hurt Ultir in some kind of way, and now she's basically bent on revenge and bent on killing Gray. And at hearing this, Juvia goes ballistic and basically takes on Melody all by herself. And while Urza goes off to fight Azuma, basically a guy who can use he can basically use Hashirama cells from Naruto. He's got wood magic or whatever. But yeah, he's taken control of the Tenro tree and, basically taken away all of the magic Fairy Tail has, at least. Though, not yet. That's later on. I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, Juvia manages to take out Melody, though really only because Melody finally was finally able to listen to reason and, stopped attacking Juvia. And yeah, then meanwhile, Ultir actually manages to kidnap Zeref. I'm gonna say Jalal, but yeah, and because apparently Zeref's not quite at his full power yet, so yeah, Ultir manages to take him out fairly easily. And when she meets back up with Melody, and Juvia is now passed out, she nearly kills Juvia, but Gray comes in in the nick of time and rescues Juvia, and so he and Ultir start fighting, and it's revealed that Ultir was actually the biological daughter of Gray's old master, and apparently back when she was a toddler, Ultir had so much magic power that it was literally threatening to just deteriorate her own body. So Ur took Ultir to this place where supposedly they'd be able to get her magic under control, but turns out this place was kind of evil and told Ur that Ultir had died. So yeah, then one day when Ultir escaped from them, she went to find her mother and saw Ur with Gray and Leone and assumed that she'd just been replaced. So yeah, it was kind of a thing. But once she got the full story from, her melted mother who had seeped into the ocean because, she'd been melted from Deliora all the way back. So yeah. Oh man. So she basically becomes good again, and Gray's, Gray and yeah. So Gray goes off to find other Grimoire Heart members or Fairy Tail members, to team up with, so and to take down Grimoire Heart. Oh yeah, then Natsu and Lucy take down a guy, I think his name is Kane, I believe. I can't remember if he had a last name, I can't remember it. But yeah, they managed to take him down with the power of Nalu, and it's great. And yeah. Let's see, are there any other fights I'm forgetting about? I don't think so. But yeah, then so Meldy has, meanwhile, while Ultir was taking on Gray, Meldy had taken Xerath and was gunning it, but Juvia was going after her, now awake, and, basically crawling after her. But while this is going down, Zonkro reappears, and, the Fire God Slayer, and threatens to kill Meldy, and then, takes Xerath. And then Xerath wakes up, and his magic knocks out Meldy and Juvia, but outright kills Zonkro. So fun. And immediately expresses regret, and, apparently he's got some kind of not control over his magic, and runs off. But before he goes away, he mentions the name Acnologia, and how it will bring destruction to this new era. And Mest is listening in and like, wait, did he say Acnologia? And runs off to tell his council buddies. So yeah, then yeah, I don't really know what else to say to that. Then now basically all of Grimoire Heart. Wait, there was a guy named Capricorn. He turns out he's a celestial spirit who's been in this world for like years upon years. Like, that shouldn't be possible, but turns out he's being possessed by this guy. I think his name is Zordio, who used to be a servant to Layla Heartfilia, who is Lucy's mom, and committed a forbidden magic and took over the body of Capricorn. But and after fighting with Loki and expelling Zordio from Capricorn's body, Zordio disappears and Capricorn becomes one of Lucy's spirits. So yeah, then yeah. Meanwhile, Kana, she's abandoned Lucy at some point. I know I'm telling this wildly out of order, but I'm doing this in the way I'm remembering it, and this is totally unscripted, by the way, if you couldn't tell by now. So yeah, then Kana's backstory is revealed, and turns out that when her mother died, she revealed that her father worked at Fairy Tail. So yeah, so Kana went to find her father, and his name happened to be Gildarts. But Gildarts didn't even know Kana existed, so Kana's just been hanging around the guild trying to muster the courage to talk to her father. but she couldn't be able to do it. So she eventually came to the conclusion that once she became an S-class wizard, then she'd tell him. But every time she's managed to get to a trial, it's never gone down. It's never happened, basically. So, but now, like, but now she's, basically determined to help her friends now that she's basically convinced herself to do so. Then, yeah, then meanwhile, one of Grimoire Heart's, strongest members, Blue Note, who has, like, gravity magic or something like that, tries to kill... He's been looking for a spell called Fairy Glitter, which is, one of the 3 strongest spells Fairy Tail has, one being Fairy Law, then Fairy Glitter, and later on Fairy Sphere. We'll get to that later. So, sorry, I'm trying to articulate things. Then, so Blue Note basically takes out, Natsu, Lucy, Wendy, and Happy, Carla, and I guess Master Makarov, but Makarov's still passed out. So, then Kana comes in to try and rescue everyone and use Fairy Glitter, but Blue Note manages to stop her and takes her down too. Then Gildarts comes to the rescue, and he's pissed. So, yeah, then, yeah, that's basically what happens. So, yeah, so Gildarts fights Blue Note while the others escape. Then Ozma does his work and basically takes away all magic Fairy Tail has at that point, using the Tenro Tree, but still allowing to give some to Urza when she finds him, so they can have a fair duel, even though Ozma has all the magic of Tenro Island behind him. So, but, through the power of friendship and the power of, the bonds of the guild, Urza manages to defeat Ozma and, take him down. So, and restore everyone's magic, and they defeat the opponents they're fighting. So, yeah, then we basically switch over to the final fight, which is basically Natsu, Lucy, Urza, Gray, Wendy, and the 3 XZ cats. I completely forgot to mention this, but I'm back in the Edalus arc. Gajiel got his own cat, named Panther Lily. They're what are called Exceeds. They basically originate from Edalus, but because they're the only beings there with any kind of magic, but now they're back in Earthland because all bits of magic left Edalus and went to Earthland. But you get what I mean. So yeah. Then they fight. They're not really doing that well. And when Hades is about to kill Natsu, an unlikely friend comes in to save them, that being Loxus. How long has it been? Let's see. Episode 48, and he comes in at episode 117. He's been gone for over 50, he's been gone for over 60 episodes now, and he's back. And it's great. And he fights Hades all on his own. But he also manages to get defeated, but at the last moment he transfers some of his power to Natsu, and Natsu becomes for a brief moment a fire lightning dragon, or a flame lightning dragon, who knows. So I think it was called a flame lightning dragon. I can't remember, but now this power up is a permanent thing now, because Dragon Force will eventually become a thing where he can activate it at will too, but this is the first time he can activate something at will, and because apparently that's what Dragon Slayers can do. They can lend someone their power and they can get like a secondary element. They can't get other elements as far as I know, unless it's a special case, we'll get to him later. So, Natsu seemingly defeats, Hades, but then Hades gets back up, but through the power of friendship and and happy Carla and Pandoli's excellent timing, they managed to defeat Hades and, you know, take out Grimoire Heart. So yeah, then as Hades and Cain and another member, I completely forgot to mention that other member, Rusty Rose, I think his name is, and his battle with Elfman and Evergreen. I completely forgot to mention that fight, but yeah, anyway, so as they're flying away and with, you know, their tail tucked between their legs, Zareth comes in and kills Hades and berating them for making him forget the value of human life, which is basically the only way he'll be able to control his magic. And we'll get into Zareth's whole thing later. So yeah, then Acnologia appears, and while Fairy Tail is trying to relax and, you know, lick their wounds, basically, Acnologia shows up. Turns out Acnologia was that black dragon that Gildarts fought, and the Fairy Tail Guild tries all that they can, but at the end of the day, they are unable to do so, unable to defeat Acnologia or really even do lasting damage to him. So, yeah, they try to create, like, one large enchantment spell to try to block Acnologia's next attack, you know, save their lives, and they all hold hands, and they say, we'll go home together, and then Acnologia blasts, like, this breath attack at them, and, yeah, then basically all of Tenro Island seemingly gets wiped out off the map, and, yeah, and then for the next 7 long years, no one knows what really happened to Fairy Tail. And that's where we're gonna end this video, with the 7-year time skip happening. Oh boy, it's yeah. I basically stuttered my way through this. This is, and we're barely halfway through. We're barely halfway through this entire thing. So yeah, I got nothing else to say, so I'm just gonna end this review here, and I'll see you all later on when we cover the Key to the Starry Sky arc, the Grand Magic Games, the Eclipse Celestial Spirits arc, the Sun Village arc, and the Tartaros arc. So yeah, we'll get into that later. So yeah, I got nothing else to say, so I'm just gonna end the video here. So yeah, till next time, guys. See ya.